I just want to provide cheesecakes to people who enjoy good food. And given this COVID era and, how things have changed so much, I just really want to bring good food to people and make people happy with it.
Welcome to Flip Your Script, the podcast about life's critical turning points and how people find the inspiration and motivation to move forward and rewrite their unique stories. Flip Your Script is produced by Media Minefield, a public relations firm passionate about the power of sharing stories. Specializing in earned and social media, Media Minefield helps clients take control of their unique story and message. The show is hosted by Christy Peel, founder and CEO of Media Minefield, who flipped her script from an Emmy-winning journalist to a successful entrepreneur and speaker.
There's something called the Prince effect. It refers to the impact Prince had on everything from pop culture to music to even business rebranding. There's even a TV show called The Prince Effect. I'd argue, though, no one knows more about the Prince effect than today's guest. Vanessa Drews had a passion for making cheesecakes. Prince discovered them and changed her life with just one tweet. Vanessa is now in the early and difficult stages of turning a side hustle into a full-time business. Vanessa knows struggle, she knows success, and she's flipped her script in several ways. Vanessa, I'm so glad you're on the podcast today. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
So your business is Cheesecake Funk, which is such an awesome name, and it has this Prince effect. So I want you to tell us the story of how Prince took cheesecake into Cheesecake Funk. And then I want to back up because you had some other things happen years before that, and you made a couple of transitions with your career. So let's start with Prince because that's how you got your name.
Yeah, I mean, it legit came from Prince, Cheesecake Funk. I had the exciting opportunity to start working for him in 2013. I had, at that time, been making cheesecakes kind of on the side and just as something that I really, really enjoyed doing. When I worked for him, I sold merchandise. So I wasn't, in direct contact with him on a day-to-day basis, but when he had events and concerts at Paisley Park and he wanted to sell merchandise, I was the person that did that. I would set up all the merchandise and basically behind the merchandise table and sell his merchandise, which was awesome in itself. But in turn, when I worked there, like I said, I had been making cheesecakes for a long time. And I just wanted to bring my cheesecakes to my friends who played in the band with him and people who worked at Paisley, never thinking that he would actually eat it. I literally just wanted to bring it in so that they can enjoy it while they were visiting Minnesota and working so hard, rehearsing for weeks and months on end. So yeah, Prince found it literally in the fridge. And when I realized that he enjoyed it was he posted onto his official Twitter page kind of a funny meme of two monkeys resuscitating one monkey. And the caption was, "This is what happens when somebody eats the last piece of Vanessa's cheesecake."
This is so crazy to me for so many reasons. So you're selling merchandise at Paisley Park, and Prince, for people that don't live in Minnesota, when he was alive, he sort of had this elusive quality. We all knew that he was here all the time, but people would have run-ins with him, but he wasn't one of these people that hung out at a local grocery store and there's all these, stories of people having long conversations with him. He was known for being elusive and having this really unique life. And he had all these famous friends that were secretly coming into Minnesota. And we knew they were there, but we didn't really have eyes to see them all the time. But you had the ability to see him, but peripherally. You weren't friends with him, unless I'm missing part of the story. And you had the opportunity to just bring something that you like to do, because cheesecake wasn't your business then, was it?
No. Mm-mm.
So something you like to do, a hobby, a passion, and people probably said, "Man, Vanessa, your cheesecakes are good." So you wanted to help your friends, and so you put it in the fridge, never expecting Prince to find it. Is that right?
Correct. 100% correct.
So the part about this that is so awesome to me, Vanessa, is that you didn't have a motive. So many people in your position who would have had access to Prince would have done something with an intention of him finding it and hoping for a tweet. And you did it because you loved cheesecake and you love the people you worked with. That's what's so sweet and innocent about your whole story.
Yeah. And, I think for all those reasons too, I think that just shows why Prince loved Minnesota and why he called Minnesota his home for his entire life. Like, certainly he traveled like, any rock star would do, and go to like, amazing tropical places, but he always found Minnesota home. And, I think everybody who is from Minnesota respected that. And I also did. Like, he was a man, just like he was a human, just like anybody. And I think that quality he appreciated too, that I wasn't so forthcoming with eat this, eat this, eat this. It was just there and he happened to stumble upon it.
And you didn't make it specifically for him, meaning you didn't have like a special purple rain flavor and you didn't put a stick in it that said, Prince, this is for you. It was just in there. Do you even know what flavor he had?
Yeah, he liked the turtle cheesecake.
Did you ever find out why he liked that the best?
I don't. I would just basically bring them in and put them in the fridge. And I think one time I brought like a strawberry one, and not to say that the strawberry cheesecake is bad, but they said bring more turtle.
It's a nice way of saying that.
So I just constantly kept bringing turtle cheesecakes whenever it was requested of me.
And did he ever like buy them, like pay for them, order them?
No, honestly, like it never was like a business or something that I wanted money in return. I literally just wanted to say, welcome to Minnesota, band members, people who are in Paisley Park. Here's some good food. And I would just put them in the fridge.
So cool. And entrepreneurs, if you're thinking of starting a business and the first thing you go to is money, stop. Get a new business. Start with passion. The money comes later, because you've probably had many, many hours where, boy, you're not getting paid a lot making cheesecakes at the beginning, but you have the passion, because no one without the passion would be able to put in the hours that you're putting in now. But I jumped ahead. So we go, Prince sends out a tweet. We know that he loves your cheesecake. You start making more of it. When does it become Cheesecake Funk, and when does it become a money-making enterprise?
It became Cheesecake Funk when I saw invitations that was posted on social media to Paisley Park. And within the invitation, it said basically, help yourself to some Cheesecake Funk, with obviously a sly reference to my cheesecakes. I never made them for, patrons when they came to Paisley Park. It was literally just for band members who were there rehearsing. And then he found them. But he added the reference of Cheesecake Funk, I believe, onto 2, possibly 3 invitations that literally, when he posted them on social media, people from all over the world saw and would, hurry and rush to buy a plane ticket so that they could come to Paisley Park for whatever was going on. And it just so happened to reference my cheesecake, which had nothing to do with what he was doing. It was just, I don't know why he added that, but I'm forever thankful that he did.
And let's just pause and take a minute that Prince, who's worth many, many millions of dollars, is inviting people to a party with free food that you're making for him and he's not paying for. Brilliant, right?
It is, but I never expected him to pay for it. That just never was it's just not even how I am today. Like, I just want to provide cheesecakes to people who enjoy good food. And given this COVID era and, how things have changed so much, I just really want to bring good food to people and make people happy with it.
Good things happen when that's your mindset.
Mm-hmm.
So Cheesecake Funk becomes a name because Prince named it. And then how did you go from, oh my gosh, Prince and his friends, who are like Janet Jackson and name after name after name, are probably eating your cheesecake, loving it, calling it Cheesecake Funk, but no one else can actually buy it. How did you go from that to something that was a business?
Like I said before, I've been making cheesecakes for a very long time. And every Thanksgiving and Christmas was always a time that I was busy making cakes. During the year, not so much, periodically for friends and family, but nothing that I, had to just make a ton at. It was always the holiday season. In 2019, I just kind of was getting to the point at my full-time job, the career that I had been in for close to 20 years. I was a senior paralegal at a law firm. I was very happy doing the work there and helping clients go through really difficult times. But it kind of was always in the back of my mind, maybe one day I could, do this full time. But I never thought like how I could actually make that happen. Like who would be my customers? Like, would I have like a little bakery, or how could I put this big production together and justify me leaving my career and being a single mom of 2 little kids? Like I never really thought like how I could actually make it happen. But in 2019, at the end of it, I just kind of got to a point where I thought, if I'm really going to do this, I just need to invest in myself. I was able to connect with the owners of Crave Restaurants. That's a local awesome restaurant here in the Twin Cities. And they basically wanted to add my cheesecakes to their menu. And I was told to prepare for volume. And with that, like I literally remember I was sitting in my office at my job, and I spoke with him and he said, prepare for volume. And I said, if I'm going to do that, I can't be working another full-time job. So I decided to resign and take some savings that I had set aside over my 20 years of working. And I felt if I could tap into, honestly, my retirement and put forth the funds into getting the equipment that I need, getting everything that I need together so that I can supply to this amazing restaurant chain, I just have to do it. And that's what I did in August. At the end of August 2019, I resigned. And soon after that, I started baking where I'm at now. It's at Oak 19. It's a restaurant at the Chaska Town Course. Because the golf course is closed in the wintertime, so is the restaurant. My cheesecake is on the menu here in the summertime, and they have been just so awesome to let me use the facility while the restaurant is closed. And I'm just so thankful that I can do that here. And that was really the motivation to really keep my business kind of afloat and to make it all happen.
Congratulations. You took a leap of faith. You also did something that I encourage people to do, is you kept your full-time job and the benefits until there was the opportunity to make the side hustle something that could be an actual business, which is so smart because you figure some things out probably with the recipe and make the relationships needed. But if you had done it 5 years earlier or the second after that tweet, you probably would have been broke, right?
Yeah, I wasn't ready. Honestly, my day-to-day motivation is like, what can I do differently today that was different than yesterday? And what can I do next week that I didn't do last week? Like it's a constant, like, what can I do? How can I get my cheesecakes out to more customers, more restaurants, hopefully into like a grocery store, something like that. But I'm just so thankful that what I get to do on a day-to-day basis is be in the kitchen and bake. Even though I'm not baking every day, but something geared towards making that happen. And it's fun.
It has to be because you spend so much time doing it.
Mm-hmm.
So you're a solo operation, and we just had to take a pause in recording so that you could get some cheesecakes out of the oven for real because you're by yourself. But had COVID not happened, perhaps you could be baking with other people. Is that your next step?
Yeah, certainly that is the goal. Before COVID, I had a very close friend of mine and somebody who had been, basically helping me when I had large orders. Because of COVID, I just feel like, we have to keep our bubbles as small as possible. And, God forbid if I were to get sick or anything, like I have to protect myself so much so that I can keep supplying to my restaurants and keep supplying to my customers. And that can't happen if I have a large bubble. So that definitely is the goal, is to get my friend back and to get more people to help me. But until it's like completely safe to do so, I just really feel strongly that I just need to keep this going solo so that there is something that they can come back to.
Makes a lot of sense. And going from having a full-time job to taking the risk to making Cheesecake Funk your full-time job is one of the times you flipped your script. But you have done that prior because you were baking for a restaurant that had a tragedy. Tell me about that.
A friend of mine opened McMahon's Irish Pub in South Minneapolis. When he opened McMahon's, he asked to have my cheesecake on the menu because he really enjoyed it. So it was on the menu for about a year and a half. And then, unfortunately, in 2010, there was a fire that consumed the entire upstairs of the building and then basically took over the entire restaurant. So, it was really difficult. At that time, I was literally just making a few cakes a week for that restaurant. Again, thinking hopefully one day I can, leave my job and do this on a larger scale. But at the time, I literally just wanted to make them for a friend's restaurant. It was kind of like a family, owned place. And my friends were all there. And so we just had a lot of fun being there. But then when the fire happened, it was, terrible. I just remember driving down there after I saw it on the news, and like we all just kind of stood out there like completely helpless, that there was nothing that we could do. And some people unfortunately lost their lives in the fire, and so it was super tragic. And so after that, I just kind of, decided I have to keep my day job. And so I just had to keep going and try to move on, but just always knew that I wanted to one day do that full time. So it's the fire was really tragic for sure, but I learned a lot on, the early stages of supplying to a restaurant, not knowing in 10 years down the road that that's what I would be doing full time.
Did that almost make you give up on the dream?
Yeah, I mean, it seemed like it was so far reaching to actually make happen. But I just knew that I was determined. I didn't have children at the time. And I wanted to continue to focus, of course, on, my career and just making my life successful. And so I just, again, always in the back of my mind, I thought, God, one day I would love to be able to do it. I don't know what that looks like, but I would love to someday do that. I can't do it right now, but one day, hopefully.
And this whole story doesn't happen without Prince, but it also doesn't happen if your cheesecakes are bad. So what is it about your cheesecakes that you think makes them so good?
I think they don't taste processed. They're completely made from scratch. I think sometimes cakes in general can be very heavy because of the added ingredient of flour. I don't use flour in my cheesecake. So it's simple, fresh ingredients. And like I said, everything is made from scratch and to order. So I don't know. It's a great combination of flavors that I put together, and people really enjoy them.
I happened to stop in and get some cakes for Thanksgiving, and I met your mother, who was outside, and she was telling me what was happening inside. And you may or may not know this part of the story, but she was telling me that you hadn't slept for something like 26 hours because you were making cheesecakes straight through the night. Is that a mother exaggerating, or is that true?
100% true. I didn't anticipate to pull an all-nighter the day before, actually 2 days before Thanksgiving. It just happened to be. I was super, I come from a legal background, paralegal, so I feel like I'm very organized, methodical about like what I do, especially making cheesecakes by myself. I really have to plan out every day and what I'm doing. I planned out making a set amount of cheesecakes, and I don't know if I'm thankful. I am thankful for sure. But at the time I was like, I don't know if I want to be thankful or if I want to cry, because I have so much to do and Thanksgiving is in 2 days. And I wasn't anticipating such an influx in orders, like literally 3 days before Thanksgiving. So I learned a lot from that, but I literally pulled an all-nighter and I stayed up all night, again, not thinking so. And, I bake at this amazing building. Thankfully, there's a couch, and actually there's a pull-out like futon and a couch, and my mom and kids spent the night here with me. They slept in the dining room so that I didn't have to be here by myself baking all through the night. And I pulled it off.
Good for you. And that is a little bit of insight of what you have to do when you have a new business.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because if you don't do it, who's going to do it?
Exactly. And, my biggest fear is somebody showing up and me having to tell them, I'm sorry, I don't have your order ready. It's like I have to fulfill my orders the best way I know how. And I had to stay up that night. And I'll tell you that day after everybody picked up their cheesecakes, I slept so good. I was so happy to be home. I was so thankful to my mom and kids for sticking it in and spending the night. And I think also it shows my kids that their mom is a hustler and I'm going to make it happen no matter what.
Oh yeah, their mom's a hustler and she's gritty and she's determined. And there's a lot of people out there, Vanessa, that would say, you know what, I have to put my side hustle or my dreams on complete hold until my kids are all the way grown up, or until I have someone to co-parent with me, or until I have enough money, or until I have fill in the blank. Why did you choose to do it sort of against all odds?
Because honestly, I've never been a person to wait on somebody else in order to make my life a success. I've always been determined. I had a job when I was 16. I worked all the way through high school, went to college, always had a job while I was in college. I don't know. I guess I just really am determined. And I figured, I had been in the legal world for 20 years. My firm still is to this day like a second family to me. I miss everybody terribly. But I knew that, God forbid if it failed, I could either go back there or find another job, because there's thousands and hundreds of thousands of law firms that could maybe use some help. So I just thought, if cheesecakes didn't pan out, then I could go back to that. But I'm going to make it my number one priority to make sure that I can get as many accounts as I can to keep this passion of mine going.
So well said, because it's not about the circumstances. It's like there's no right time to have a kid. There's no right time to start a business. Mm-hmm. You just do it and you kind of figure it out. And there isn't really a guidebook or a playbook. It's like you said earlier, it's every day getting better. How can I be better today than I was yesterday? What did I learn yesterday that will help me tomorrow? So I love that about how you think about business. And it's the reason you're going to be successful.
I'm not giving up. I'm not a quitter.
So let's go back to the Prince part of your story. I happen to be wearing purple today. I don't know that I've ever seen you in anything besides purple. And you do have a Prince symbol tattoo. Mm-hmm. Because you legitimately are a fan. You aren't someone who got a job and went, I should probably start listening to his music. So tell me about the fandom part of you that is like, oh my gosh, it's Prince. He likes my cheesecake and he named my business. Like, does that part of the celebrity ever sink in for you?
I just keep coming back to, I'm so thankful that I was in that circle, allowed in that tight-knit circle. Again, not to forcefully give them anything. I was just, and still am, very appreciative of Prince for all the contributions that he gave to this world. Musically, I shouldn't say teachings, but he always stressed the importance of owning your own brand, owning your music, owning your own stuff. And so I'm just thankful for all aspects that he taught people. on being a good person, making good music, making honest, choices in your business. And again, just owning your craft and owning what you do. So I'm just thankful that he stumbled upon my cheesecake, literally. The image that I have in my mind of, sorry, the phone's ringing.
It's all right. You got a business.
I'm just thankful that, again, Prince found it. He thought so highly of it that he joked about it. For people that were kind of in Prince's circle, knew that he was a very funny guy. So just the fact that he felt comfortable enough to find the photos of the monkeys, and that's what he thought when my cheesecake was gone. And just the fact that he named it. I wish I could have talked to him about Cheesecake Funk, but at the same time, I don't think I really needed to talk to him about how and why that name came to him, because it kind of stands for itself. My cheesecakes are great, and he loved great funky music. And it's just kind of a mirror of what he enjoyed, I think. So I don't know, it's really, I'm really thankful that he found it. I'm thankful that he helped coin the name. And I'm just really thankful that because he, talked about it on his social media, literally people from all over the world have reached out to me and want to try my cheesecakes. And as a new business, like, that's what you want. That's the goal, is how are you going to get people to want your product? And he did that before the business was even like legit in the eyes of the state of Minnesota.
And isn't there something to learn about when you have that kind of power and influence to use it to help someone else?
Yeah.
He didn't have to do that.
No, he totally didn't have to do that. And I think that shows the genius in him too. He might have thought, I should do this because maybe I can see she's a smart person. Maybe she'll run with this and do something with it, or maybe she won't. So I don't know if he had the foresight to know that I could actually do something with it because of his support. I don't know, but I'm super thankful he did.
We'll make sure to put that meme and what he tweeted on flipyourscriptpodcast.com so people can see it, because it's life-changing for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then also the invitations to Paisley Park, just awesome.
And because of your legal background, you knew that you had to have the family's blessing after he passed away to make sure that you could keep using the name and tell the story. And thank goodness they've given that to you, because that also is a gift. They could have shut some of this down, and they haven't. And that's also something to be grateful for.
Yeah. I mean, the family is, I know the family. I think they're supportive with the fact that, they love it too. But I certainly have, connected with the legal team who runs Prince's estate. And it's the estate also that I have reached out to make sure that the legal team of the estate is also supportive of it. And they 100% are. And, not to toot my own horn, but I think they're a little sad that COVID has hit because they can't come to Minnesota to have my cheesecake. So I look forward to being able to provide that to, them when they're able to come back to visit.
So some people who are listening to this are probably listening just because they're crazy Prince fans and are so devastated that he isn't still on planet Earth, and maybe listening for some kind of insight about him or insight about his music. So I have to ask, what's your favorite Prince song? And is there some antidote or something you could tell us about Prince that maybe we don't know?
I think one of my favorite Prince songs is, it's not like a actual song per se that he actually sings in. It's called Plectrum Electrum. And it's a song that he released, I think, in 2013, 14-ish. And it's just a great jam session with his band at the time, Third Eye Girl. Two anecdotes that is just awesome. One time there was a concert at Paisley, and of course I was there, and a friend of mine Jesse, who was a YouTuber and just a really close friend of mine. Jesse happened to work at Paisley Park too, and had more of a direct connection to Prince than I had. And we were at Paisley, and somebody that worked with Prince told Jesse, Prince and Third Eye Girl are going to play a show for you guys. Go over to the door and wait for us. So Jesse and I looked at each other, and like I literally got goosebumps right now just thinking of it, because it was just like, what? Okay, we're going to stand by the door. So went and stood by the door. There was probably about 8 of us that we had kind of gathered and stood by the door, and the door opens and we hear like this piercing sound, and we didn't know what it was, but we were just following the guide back to where we were going to go to. And as we got closer, we realized it sounded like a guitar, like somebody playing the guitar, and it was just like stuck on a note. So we go into this room, and Third Eye Girl is set up at their stations. The drummer, the bassist, the guitarist, and Prince was standing at the front at the microphone, and he was the person that was holding this guitar note that was just screaming. And so we all walk in there and we're like, oh my God. And he's just standing there like a mannequin, like knowing that he's like freaking us out because we were so excited. And then Prince and Third Eye Girl went into playing Plectrum Electrum for like 10 minutes. It was like so amazing. It was so cool. And then when he left the room, it was probably like a 20-minute like little jam session. He left the room and he kind of jogged over towards me. And of course, there's people like standing around me. And I'm thinking, oh God, is he gonna like hug me? And he literally just gave me a high five and just vanished in this door that was right behind me. And then we left, and we all, when we got outside, we were screaming like, oh my God, that was so amazing. And, I'm sure he heard us inside Paisley Park, like freaking out. But I think knowing that we were just so hyped that like, that was like an experience of a lifetime, and it was so awesome. So Plectrum Electrum, I think, is one of my favorites, just because the song is amazing and because I heard it that way, was super rad.
That's incredible. And that's sort of what you hear in Minnesota, people that have had these little run-ins with Prince. It's something like that where, half the time you're standing there going, oh my gosh, is this happening? Is this real? And then the other half, you're like, think of how much people would pay for that experience, but nobody could. That wasn't how he rolled, which is what made him such an icon. I mean, for so many reasons, he's an icon. Who's on your dream list of who do you want to have your cheesecake now? Not that you can ever top Prince, of course, but like if you could put a cheesecake in front of someone else, or just they wake up in the morning and there it is magically in their fridge, who would you like to try your cheesecake?
There's several. I would love to get to Oprah, of course. Ellen DeGeneres. I think as far as, I think those are the top two. And just, foodies. Andrew Zimmern, he's, based in Minnesota. I'd love to get some to him. Bobby Flay, I would love to get some to Bobby Flay. Just foodies, people just who enjoy good food. I also want to make it, Cheesecake Funk is a staple here in Minnesota, but also when the time comes that people are actually visiting Minnesota again, that they know that there's some really good cheesecake here and they should seek it out.
So what's next for the brand? What's next for you?
I think what I really would like to do is I need to get my own kitchen. I love this space here at the golf course. And then in the summer months, I was renting a commercial kitchen space, actually a kitchen space when I first met you. But I need my own kitchen so I don't have to move every springtime and winter, and a place that, people can always know that they can, pre-order from and pick up their cheesecake. So that is one thing. I also would love to get into, of course, more restaurants, to do more wholesale. I would love to be able to transition into getting into maybe some local grocery stores and just really keep expanding the brand so that Cheesecake Funk becomes a household name.
It's fantastic. And hopefully you won't have to do a lot of all-nighters to get that done.
Right?
There's a time in your life when, boy, you need other people working all night. Your kids, maybe, so you can sleep.
Yeah. I mean, that was the first all-nighter I've done in a very long time, and no alcohol was involved.
Prince wasn't playing. There wasn't even good music, probably.
No, I was listening to some music, but
okay, good.
That I think was what was keeping me going.
Final question, something that I ask everyone at the end of the podcast. Is there a quote or a song that motivated you to flip your script?
I think the running thing that's always in my mind is, if I'm ever hesitant on can I make it happen or how can I make it happen? I just always have this pressing instinct of trust. Just trust that, I can make it happen. Trust that if I put forth the things in place to make it happen, trust that it will happen. So I think that's just the main thing, is just trusting in my own ability and not giving up on the ultimate goal, and trusting that the ultimate goal will one day happen. Trusting the fact that I will get it to Oprah Winfrey one day. I don't know when, I don't know how, but just trust is key for me.
Can you imagine if Cheesecake Funk was one of Oprah's favorite things?
Oh my God. That'd be amazing. It'd be so amazing.
You're going to come back and tell me how it happened. And then you're going to tell me how big your team is, because you would have to pull a lot of all-nighters to keep up with the demand.
Mm-hmm. And, a factory would be wonderful one day where a machine would actually be baking these from scratch rather than myself. But until then, I just got to keep making it happen.
Well, thank you. The story that Vanessa shared of having fun, being passionate about what you're doing, being willing to trust, but also to trust in a way that is intelligent and calculated, because it isn't blind trust going all in. It's no problem if I lose everything. It's trust that the plan I have in place will take me to where I need to go and to make tomorrow better than yesterday. And I think there's just something really special about living life with your eyes wide open and doing things for the right reasons, and being willing to seize the day, seize the opportunity. When Prince tweets about you, boy, that is something that you seize and you move forward with, to honor him and to thank him, and to thank all of those people who benefit from Cheesecake Funk today. My hope is that Vanessa's story empowers you to believe you are capable of more than you think, to discover motivation, to uncover inspiration, and to find the strength to turn the page.
Thank you for listening to Flip Your Script, hosted by Christy Peel and produced by Media Minefield. If you like our message, please be sure to give us a 5-star rating, subscribe to the show, and share our episodes with your family and friends. Do you or someone you know have a story about flipping your script? We'd love to share it. Contact us on our website, flipyourscriptpodcast.com. To stay up to date on all things Flip Your Script, make sure to follow host Christy Peel on social media. You can also check out the website for pictures, resources mentioned in the show, and other great episodes.